Hello everybody, this is Albert with the Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today I'm going to talk about the cyclical nature of tea and when is the freshest season to buy your tea, or when is the tea the freshest. Now before we begin, I highly recommend you check out our back catalog of episodes, and I'll put some episodes up here that I think are germane. So I am recording this at a Turkish bath. I just did a Turkish bath here in Istanbul. And Casey's having a massage, which I am not doing right now. So I thought it'd be good to talk about this. So understand the Camellia sinensis plant. There's two varieties, Camellia sinensis and Camellia sinensis assamica, are two variations, but they have a cyclical nature, and it's important to understand this to know when to buy the freshest tea, because the plant is not an evergreen that is constantly blooming. So as a whole, and there's going to be exceptions to this, as a whole, the first bloom of the plant is going to be in April. Now, some of this is contingent on the latitude, which country is growing it, but as a whole, we're just going to make generalities. So the first bloom is normally going to be in April. So in Japan, they call it the shinsha. The shinsha is like the first harvest of the season. And so normally, the first harvest is going to be the best quality because they're the freshest buds. So you're going to get the best quality tea with the first bloom. Down in India, you look at something like Darjeeling, which is it's a region, and really it's more of a brand name, but when we think of Darjeeling, we think of black tea. So Darjeeling is going to do first blush Darjeeling, and then there's second blush Darjeeling. Now we don't sell either of these, but I thought you should know about it because it's a very famous brand. So first blush Darjeeling is almost like a grape taste. It tastes like a grape flavor. It's okay, I'm doing it this way, it's fine. It's like a grape flavor, so it's very good. So as a whole, most tea is harvested April through, late summer. Normally the late summer blooms in Japan and China are going to be for oolongs and some blacks, but normally that's the late harvest that you're going to get it. Most of the early harvest as a whole, just again making generalities, is very common time for the greens and the whites. So that's important. So let's say the majority of the greens and the whites are being harvested in April and May. Then you think of how they have to kill green it, they have to roll it, then they have to dry it. All this is done pretty quickly. Then it's sent across the world. So I would tell you, as a whole, the freshest tea you're going to get, the majority of your tea would be late summer. It would be late summer, probably August, September, October. As the year goes on and as the new year comes around, January, February, March, the tea is not going to be as fresh. Now we do have an episode, I'll put a banner here either now or later in this episode, about can tea get bad? Can tea get bad? So understand, tea can't get bad, but the fresher the tea, the better the tea is going to taste. So that's important to understand. So again, in how long can tea stay fresh? It depends on which variant of the Camellia sinensis plant you're getting. So pu'er gets better with age. So you don't really have to worry about pu'er in terms of time sensitivity. Black tea lasts 2 years. So again, you can buy yours in March and it's going to be fresh. So really when it comes to time sensitivity, it's going to be the greens. So the freshest time, in short, the freshest best time to buy your greens, and I would say your white tea, the freshest ones you're going to be getting is going to be in the late summer, because most of those are going to be plucked in April and May. Now, if you live in Japan, you're probably going to get these fresher teas, the shinshas, quicker. But given that they're being shipped across the world, albeit very fast, I would tell you that late summer is probably the freshest time you'll get green and white teas. When you're buying green teas, whether they be Chinese or Japanese, in March and February, March, April, understand just the cyclical nature of the plucking of the plant. There's nowhere that they're really plucking green and whites and oolongs in February, March, April. So that's going to be your least fresh tea. Doesn't mean it's bad tea. It's just all like a variant of very fresh to not as fresh. But given that tea has been dried to less than 5% of moisture, even tea that you buy February, March, April is still going to be good tea. Now, I told you this is in generalities. There are some parts of the world that pluck year-round, and this is going to be the assamica variety. The assamica variety is the kind of bigger leaves, bolder taste, mostly black tea, almost all black tea, almost all CTC are crushed black tea. And this is going to be grown in the equatorial regions because, again, the seasons are kind of the same. There's not a lot of variance of seasons and temperature. So this is going to be like Kenya. Kenya is like the king. Kenya is right on the equator. Is the king of just essentially year-round growing of the plant and plucking and harvesting the plant. The majority of that tea is going to be CTC, so it's going to be crushed into pulverized garbage, and that's the tea that's used for iced tea and all that kind of garbage that's sent to the West and the United States. So Kenya, little Sri Lanka will be maybe year-round, but the majority of the time, what I've talked about earlier applies. The freshest time to buy your green and white teas, and what I would say is late summer. The freshest time to buy your oolongs and your blacks, I would say to a certain extent, would be early fall, and that's the general rule of thumb. Guys, post in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. Check out our style or selection over at greenteahouse.com. Until next time, take care. God bless.